How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. If this is your first time here, my name is Edgar, and this channel is about personal finance, real estate investing, stock market investing, and personal development. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you are subscribed. In today's video, we're going to be going over the difference between the Roth IRA and the 401k. This is a question many people have, and the answer to that question isn't so simple to answer because everyone's situation is different, and what works for one person might not work for the next person. But in this video, I will help explain what the Roth IRA is and also explain what the 401k is, to help you understand what option is best for you. So by watching this video until the end and also smashing the like button, you could be saving yourself thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, simply because now you know which investment option benefits you the most. So with that being said, let's begin with going over what a 401k is. A 401k is a type of retirement account that is offered by many employers for their employees, and both the employee and employer can make contributions to the account up to the dollar limit that is set by the IRS. Now, a 401k itself is not an investment, but instead it is a vehicle through which you make investments. So once you contribute money into a 401k, you are responsible for choosing the specific investment within your account. And the options you have typically include an assortment of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and even target date funds, which is a fund that holds a mix of stocks and bonds and is adjusted to have less risk the closer you get to retirement. Now, the first advantage of a 401k is that your employer may have a matching program where they will match any money you contribute to your account up to a certain dollar amount or percentage. And this is something that is offered by many employers, especially the really big corporations. And this is great for you because this is basically free money, and any extra money you can invest today can mean having a few $1,000s more or even a few $100,000 more by the time you reach retirement. Now, each employer is going to have a different method for how they issue their matches, but one of the more common ways it is done is by offering a partial match. So if you contribute $5,000 into your 401k, your employer might contribute half of what you did, so that would be $2,500. Or another way it could be done is that they will offer a dollar for dollar match. So if you put $3,000 into your 401k, they will also put $3,000. Now, every employer is going to be different when it comes to how they handle their matching program and up to how much they will match. So you should check with the employer to see if they offer a matching program, and if so, how it works. The second advantage of a 401k is that they have a much higher contribution limit when compared to the Roth IRA. Now, the contribution limits are always adjusted to account for inflation, but as of 2020, the 401k contribution limit is $19,500 per year for those who are under the age of 50. However, for those who are 50 and older, they are allowed to contribute an additional $6,500. So in total, someone 50 and older can invest up to $26,000. Now, these limits are only for your contributions and they do not include employer match. So if your employer is also depositing into your 401k, then the limit for that is either 100% of your salary or $57,000 if you're under the age of 50. And if you're 50 and older, then the limit is $63,500. The fact that a 401k lets you invest so much is great because the more you can invest today, the more you can benefit from compound interest and the more money you will have in the future. And who doesn't want more money? Now, the third benefit you get with using a 401k is that the money that goes into the 401k is pre-tax money, which means this money has not been taxed, which actually saves quite a bit in taxes. And this is especially true for someone who is in a high tax bracket, because by deducting your 401k contributions from your income, then you will most likely fall into a lower tax bracket, which means you could be saving thousands of dollars in taxes, and that is more money you have available to invest. Now, these are the main advantages of a 401k, but now let's look at some of the downsides of using a 401k. And the first one is that you still have to pay taxes on your money once you begin making withdrawals in retirement. Even though you don't pay taxes on the money that goes into your 401k, Uncle Sam is going to get his cut one way or another, and in this case that's going to be once you reach retirement and you begin making withdrawals, which means you're going to pay taxes on a bigger dollar amount. For example, if throughout your entire working life you invest a total of $500,000 into your 401k, and once you get to retirement your investments have grown to $2.5 million, you will pay taxes on $2.5 million as you begin making withdrawals. So now instead of paying taxes on only $500,000, you will be paying taxes on $2.5 million, which is going to mean you're paying more in taxes overall. However, it is possible that when you were working, you were in a high tax bracket or you lived in a state that has high income taxes. But once you retire, now you are in a lower tax bracket or you move to a state that doesn't have state income taxes. So you're actually saving money on taxes. However, this may or may not apply to you. The second downside of a 401k is that if you make an early withdrawal, you will have to pay a penalty of 10%. Plus, you will also have to pay income taxes. So if you withdraw $10,000 from your 401k, then $1,000 is going to pay for the penalty. Plus, you also have to consider income taxes. So from the $10,000, you might only get to use $7,000 or $8,000, depending on how much you have to pay in taxes. Then something else to consider is that when you make a withdrawal from your 401k, the IRS will automatically withhold 20% for taxes. So if you withdraw $5,000, then you only get $4,000 and the other $1,000 is held by the IRS. Now it is possible to get some of that money back in the form of a tax refund once you file your taxes, but if you make that withdrawal at the beginning of the year, then you're going to have to wait several months before you could get some of that money back. Now there is a way you can avoid paying a penalty on any withdrawals. For example, if you need money to pay medical bills, need money to avoid a foreclosure, or you become disabled, then these would be some reasons why you would avoid paying the 10% penalty. The third downside of a 401k is that there is something called the required minimum distribution, which means once you are 70 and a half, you must begin making withdrawals. Now the reason why this is considered a downside is because if you have other assets or some other way that you are funding your retirement and you want to let the money in your 401k continue growing, you can't. So those are the pros and cons to using a 401k. So now let's move on to discussing the benefits and downsides of the Roth IRA. The first and probably the biggest advantage of the Roth IRA is that all the money within the IRA gets to grow tax-free. And once you begin making withdrawals, you get to keep 100% of that money. So whether you have $2 million or $10 million invested in your Roth IRA, then you get to keep every last dollar and you don't have to pay anything in taxes. And that means you're most likely going to pay a lower dollar amount in taxes. For example, if over your lifetime you invest $200,000 into your Roth IRA, and once you retire, that $200,000 has now grown to $2 million, then you would save a lot of money by only paying taxes on $200,000 instead of $2 million, assuming the tax rate you're in does not change. The second biggest advantage of the Roth IRA is that you can withdraw any contributions you made without having to pay a penalty or income taxes. So let's say last year you put $6,000 into your Roth IRA, and this year you need that money back for whatever reason, then you can withdraw the full $6,000 without having to pay any taxes or penalties. However, what you cannot do is withdraw any gains you've had, because at that point you will have to pay a 10% penalty and you could be subject to income taxes. For example, if you put $6,000 into your Roth IRA and a year later that $6,000 is now worth $8,000 because your investments went up in value, then you could withdraw the $6,000 without having to pay anything, as I mentioned before. But if you want to withdraw the $2,000 in gains, then that money will be subject to a penalty and you might have to pay taxes. However, just like with the 401k, you can avoid paying a penalty if the money is used for something like a medical expense. Now the third advantage of the Roth IRA is that you are not required to begin making withdrawals once you reach a specific age. Unlike the 401k that makes you begin taking withdrawals once you reach 70 and a half, when it comes to the Roth IRA, you can let that money continue growing tax-free. So if you own some rental properties or you have some other source of income that you are using to fund your retirement, then the money in your Roth IRA will continue to grow tax-free throughout your lifetime. And if you never use the money in that account, then you can pass it down to your kids. Now those are the major advantages of the Roth IRA. But now let's go over some of the downsides to using the Roth IRA. And the first one is that your contributions are not tax deductible. At the end of the day, Uncle Sam is going to get his cut one way or another, and that's either going to be upfront or on the back end. And when it comes to the Roth IRA, you'll have to pay taxes up front. Unlike with the 401k where you make contributions with before tax money, IRA contributions are made with after tax money. And because you cannot use the IRA contributions as a deduction, then there's a chance you end up in a higher tax bracket, which means you're paying more in taxes up front. The second disadvantage of the Roth IRA is that your contributions are limited to $6,000 per year if you're under the age of 50. If you're 50 or older, then your limit is $7,000. Now this is way less than the $19,500 limit for the 401k if you're below the age of 50, or the $26,000 limit for those who are 50 and older. Then you must remember that those limits are only for your individual contribution. So if you get employer matched, then the 401k limit goes up to $57,000 if you're under the age of 50, and for those who are 50 and older, the limit is $63,500. What this means is that when you use the Roth IRA, you are much more limited to how much you can invest today, and the less money you invest today, the less you will have in the future. The third downside of the Roth IRA is that you wouldn't get to benefit from employer match programs. When it comes to the Roth IRA, that account is not employer sponsored, which means you don't get any free money. And over many years, that can mean you miss out on several thousands of dollars, and then when you consider compound interest, you could miss out on several hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time you hit retirement. So with that in mind, let's take a look at when using either a 401k or Roth IRA would be best. First, if you are someone who is a part-time employee or your employer does not offer a 401k plan, then obviously you would go with a Roth IRA. Also, if you're someone who is young and is in a low tax bracket, then you might want to go with a Roth IRA, even if your employer offers a 401k program, because the money you would save in taxes once you begin making withdrawals is going to outweigh the taxes you would have to pay up front. However, we also have to consider employer match. So if your employer offers a great matching program, then once you take that free money into account, then it's possible the 401k is a better option. But at this point, it would depend on your individual situation. Then if you're someone who is currently in a high tax bracket, or you live in a state that has high income taxes, and you expect that during retirement you will be in a lower tax bracket, or you will move to a state with no income tax, then you might be better off taking the tax break up front. At the end of the day, when it comes to picking if you should go with the 401k, Roth IRA, or a combination of the two, the answer isn't so obvious because everyone's situation is different and what works for one person might not work for you. So with that in mind, what you should do is consider the benefits and downsides of each option and then see what works best for you. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this video or you found any of this information helpful, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.